Greetings, YouTube. Today in California, a case is going to start. Perry versus Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger is not actually being sued by anyone named Perry. In fact, Perry is actually the name being used to represent 4 different people, 2 gay couples who have attempted to get licenses in the state of California to get married. And Schwarzenegger's name is being used because he's the governor in question. Schwarzenegger has spoken publicly saying that he is neutral on the topic of same-sex marriage, which is a smart move if you're a governor. And the State Attorney General for California has said that he thinks that Proposition 8 should be struck down, which probably doesn't bode well for people trying to enforce it at this point. This case is taking place in federal court. This is interesting. Firstly, it's interesting because this is going to be the first non-criminal court case that is fully televised. This has never been done before. And the proponents of Proposition 8 have been trying to fight this broadcasting tooth and nail. They don't want cameras in the court. They don't want the American people to see what their actual arguments are trying to prevent gay marriage. While the supporters of gay marriage, the opponents of Prop 8, have been desperately trying to get this to make sure it passes, and it looks like it's going to. It looks like it's going to actually be cameras in the courtroom today. Now, what's the other interesting point is that this is federal court. This is not state here. If it's discovered that there is no compelling reason to discriminate against gay people in the venue of marriage, then it would be ruled as unconstitutional. It's very likely then to get bumped up to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. It will then become the Supreme's job to decide whether this case is in fact going to be judged if gay people will be given the same rights as straight people. Now, in the event this actually ever sees the light of day in the Supreme Court, my opening argument, if I were to represent these people, would be the following statement. Marriage is one of the basic civil rights of man, fundamental to our very existence and survival. To deny this fundamental freedom on so unsupportable a basis as the racial classification embodied in these statutes, classifications so directly subversive of the principles of equality at the heart of the 14th Amendment, is surely to deprive all the state citizens of liberty without due process of law. The 14th Amendment requires that the freedom of choice to marry not be restricted by invidious racial discrimination. Under our Constitution, the freedom to marry or not marry a person of another race resides with the individual and cannot be infringed upon by the state. That particular judgment is known as Loving versus Virginia, and it was the case in 1967 which struck down Virginia's ban on interracial marriage and across the entire nation. It's one of the great civil liberty cases in our nation's history. And if you change a few words there, just a few, it is completely applicable to marriage for those of different genders or the same gender, regardless of what their particular sexual identities are. Now, it should come as no surprise that I support this case, and I hope Perry wins. I hope Perry wins right out the bat, and I also hope that this case gets bumped up to the Supreme Court. My only concern is I don't know if there are 5 judges on the Supreme Court at the moment that will rule in the favor of Perry, because we have some very conservative judges currently on the Supreme Court, to the detriment of our nation, I feel. But this is the first step. The journey's not over. It could be a long one. It could be a fight that we have to make state by state. But I'm hoping that this case will help make that a shorter journey. We'll take it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will finally realize that discriminating against a segment of the American population is unconstitutional. That even though our founding fathers may not have said that gay people can marry, a concept which would have been completely alien to them, I should point out, but that all Americans must be treated equally under the law, with transparency and tolerance. And that is a beautiful thing. And this case, which starts today, could well be that first step to the end of that journey? I certainly hope so.